I remember the plane ride being really long and being extremely anxious. I was trying to sleep, but I don't sleep very well on plane rides anyway, and adding on top of that just the anxiety and excitement about, you know, going to the mission field was something that kept me awake. And I remember when we got there, it was really late at night, and we had flown from Provo to New York to Germany and then down to Yekaterinburg. And it was really late at night, and all there was the mission president and his two assistants in this little tiny airport that felt like it was in the middle of nowhere. And we got there in middle of March 21st, around there, and it was freezing. It was so cold. I felt like I didn't have a warm enough jacket, and it was not snowing, but just really cold. And I remember we had to stay at Mission President's that evening, and the next morning we got our trainers. We met our trainers. My trainer actually was a native Russian. His name is Maxim Borodin, and he's from Smolensk, Russia, which is just west of Moscow. And luckily for me, he spoke English perfectly, but I just remember taking that walk from the mission president's home to the mission office so that we could get all our documents and everything squared away with the mission office was an experience in itself, in that we had to walk through a Russian graveyard, which is very different from here in the U.S. In the U.S., it's just a big field, open field, maybe a few trees, but in Russia, it's dense forest. So you're covered by dense trees, and there's just graves scattered throughout this forest. And so it's pretty eerie. We're walking through this snow, and there's stray dogs everywhere, and then you walk over train tracks. And anyway, that on top of getting onto a bus to go down to the mission office, I realized, or felt kind of like I was in some sort of movie. It was like all these people speaking Russian. I was dressed in a suit with all these other guys dressed in a suit. I felt like I was like a secret agent or something. But it was, I guess just, I was kind of in shock but like a pleasant shock of, wow, I'm actually here. And I remember feeling an overwhelming feeling of, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to serve. And just kind of that confirmation again that this is where I was supposed to be. And from there, I was just put my head down and worked as hard as I could. I remember already mentioning earlier that I struggled with the language. And I even remember we took a test at the end of our stay in the MTC, and I scored the lowest out of our whole district on this test. It was just a grammar test, and I was pretty down on myself, pretty, I guess just a little bit, what's the word? Anyway, I wasn't feeling very comfortable with the language, and I felt blessed and fortunate that I had a native companion that spoke perfect English, because he helped me so much just with the way that I was supposed to say things and certain words and correcting my English. We always would laugh at the first time I ever tried to speak to him in Russian. It was "Это моя mama," "Это моя papa," which is completely wrong, but just with gender cases and all these things. But I just remember being so excited that this was the beginning of where I was supposed to be.